Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are breaking down our Washington Commanders 3-round mock draft. We did a full mock draft for all 32 teams, and these will be the Commander selections. But before we do that, we have a fun little announcement. If you like to put a couple bucks down on the ponies or on the games, the Tracy Take, we have partnered with BetUS for all of our viewers, and they have a fun promotion going on right now for first-time players that get a 125% match. So hit that link down below. Check out their site. They have a lot of fun options here, and then even to come football season, they'll have a bunch of fun betting lines and even some fun player stakes. So view the link, and also while you're at it, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified when new Tracy Take videos come out. Trying to get to 3,000 videos here. We're a little bit over 200 away. So the sooner we can get there, then the sooner potentially we can get to 4,000. So, Ryan, with that being said, let's get to this. So we wanted to include a little bit of what the Commanders have done so far in the offseason. These are not all of the moves. These are just kind of the main notable ones. If we wanted to include all the moves the Commanders have made, it would be like 2 or 3 pages. And so even included one here, new head coach Dan Quinn coming in, and that's a sign because several Dallas players have come over, including center Tyler Biotish. Tyler Badass. I think that's – but and Dorton as well, and I'm sure I believe even a couple other players as well that we thought didn't have as big of a significant impact on there as well. But I think it's coming as a Falcons fan, Dan Quinn definitely is a player's coach. It was tough to see him move on. I understand why we had to move on from there. I'm glad he's getting another opportunity. I wish it wasn't with an NFC team. I wish it was AFC, so potentially we don't have to see him. But in general, I think a lot of guys are going to want to come over and play with them right here. Even guys like Austin Eckler, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, who played for him when he was in Seattle. I think they made a lot of good, overall well-rounded moves. I still think I would like to see them make a little bit more on the offensive line, and I think that's kind of where, as we get into our mock draft here, we'll kind of see them take that approach. But want to throw it over to you here. What do you think are some of the biggest additions or losses from the Commanders?
Yeah, I like the Austin Eckler move. I think with the loss of Antonio Gibson, not that he played this crucial role, but he was kind of the third down back. They get a much more well-rounded running back here in Austin Eckler. And then I like the Jameson Crowder get the slot guy because you do have Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin, two kind of outside style guys. Jahan Dotson, I think, moves around the formation a little bit more. But all in all, nothing super splashy. To me, the most notable loss is going to be the departure of Sam Howell. And depending on how you view his season last year, I think kind of sways your opinion on that. But they didn't really lose or gain too much.
I would say, and maybe I'm being picky here, I did prefer Curtis Samuel over Jameson Crowder, but I can understand that they wouldn't want to have to pay him. Also, too, knowing this receiving class as well, they can replace him, and if you get Jameson Crowder on the overall stat wise, so I can see. But I do believe I kind of look at their additions here. This definitely seems like a team that is rebuilding. You get solid veterans who are on the latter stages of their career. For the most part, so then you can go and have these five top 100 picks, and you can get some really good young talent here. Starting with their first pick, they have the number 2 overall pick, and we have them going with Jaden Daniels here. This is pretty simple. I mean, if Chicago wants to go with Jaden Daniels, they'll take Caleb Williams. If they prefer Drake May over Jaden Daniels, that's just going to be the route that they're going to take. Especially too, because even also Jacoby Brissett has moved on.
Yeah,
and I'm not gonna lie. I don't know actually who
Marcus Mariota is the other guy.
They did sign Marcus Mariota. Okay,
yeah.
And so, I should have known that because I think I put that in there. No, I didn't actually. But
no, it's not in there. But yeah, they signed Marcus Mariota.
This pick here, I believe we are higher on Jaden Daniels just because of his overall ceiling. I think that is definitely his dual threat capability. Cliff Kingsbury being the offensive coordinator as well, I think that's going to be very interesting. But just in general, though, if you prefer Drake May and you want the Commanders to take him, in general, positionally, this is a quarterback pick through and through. It's just going to be whoever they like the most.
Yeah, I think them and New England are really in the same boat. It's a quarterback or trade back, and I think I don't think Minnesota I just don't know if even like 11, 23 in a future first, I don't know would be enough to get either of these teams off of the second or third pick in this like quarterback dense draft. And so
I don't think anything could get them off. this pick here. To be
It would
honest,
have to
because
be
it's
11, 23, a future first, and then like at the very least maybe another future second.
oh no, it would
If
need to be another future first,
yeah,
potentially another one
potentially,
after
yeah,
that.
and
Yeah,
that's where at that point, if you're Minnesota, is it really worth it? So uh, for me, I I have a love hate relationship with Drake May. He looks like Josh Allen and Justin Herbert on some plays, and then on other plays he looks like Zach Wilson. Like um, it's a little scary to watch, but Drake May as a prospect has all the physical tools you want. He's 20, he's 21, and like he has a lot of room to grow. Jaden Daniels he's 24. He has the consistency and the pocket mobility and everything that you want. He just needs to learn how to read he needs to learn how to read better over the middle of the field. Sorry.
yeah,
And for me, that's just kind of the difference here. Jaden Daniels is probably ready to start right away, whereas I feel like Drake May definitely needs to be coached up a little bit more and will probably end up sitting for the majority of his rookie season. And if you're Washington, just rate what you want there. I mean, if you want Marcus Mariota starting at least 8 to 10 games for you, then maybe draft Drake May at 2. If you don't want that, then Jaden Daniels is pretty much ready, I think, now.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, it's going to be interesting. I mean, either way, they're kind of in the catbird seat just in
yeah,
general. And so let's move on to now because they have 2 second-round picks close together. My apologies, actually, I'm realizing they have 6 top 100 picks now thanks to the Sam Howell trade. But in this section of pick 36 and pick 40, wouldn't be surprised maybe if they even trade up a little bit to go get a guy just because of how close these picks are. And they have now that extra 3rd-round pick from the trade with Seattle. But I have going Kingsley Suamaitea and then Jatavian Sanders as well. I will say I do believe we did this mock draft before Zach Ertz signed with the Commanders. So now they do have 2 tight ends, Logan Thomas and Zach Ertz, on their roster as right now. Both are well with like past their prime. So maybe they do still go Jatavian Sanders. Jatavian Sanders might not even be here now. He might be fringe 1st-round pick. Still like the player a lot. I say that specifically because I think here you can go and address your offensive line. There's guys like Kingsley Suamaitea, guys like Patrick Paul. If some guys like Tyler Guyton maybe fall a little bit, or maybe they go and trade up for a guy like that, still keep establishing an offensive line presence and keep building around this rookie quarterback. Then on the 40th pick, I think you can go and get that playmaker, that pass catcher. We decided to go with Jatavian Sanders here. We got like rookie Pearsall. Xavier Worthy has been kind of popular, I would say, since the combine. Just with his overall performance, maybe you want to go get a guy like that. And I think this is a good section right here where you go get your offensive line and then you go and get a playmaker. Keep building around your young quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll go back to Kingsley Suamaitea. Very large guy, I think 6'6", 330. He moves super well. A little bit raw in some of his like pass protection technique, but gets out in front of the run really, really well. And I think he would just be a really good semi-developmental project. I mean, I don't think he's not the project that Patrick Paul is, but he's also not as polished as the top tackles in this class. So that's which is why he's here at 36. So, and then Jatavian Sanders, I definitely think they need a young answer at tight end, and getting a guy like Jatavian Sanders here would be a really good addition, especially when I think you look at some of the new rules as far as like the hip drop tackles and stuff goes. I really think getting large athletic guys that are going to be able to bust through a lot of those arm tackles now that you can't necessarily spin the way that they're pitching that rule, I think would be a really great addition. And also I think you think of the athleticism on the field with Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, Jatavian Sanders, Austin Eckler, and Jaden Daniels. I think that would be a really, really menacing threat for a lot of defenses.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it's going to be an interesting argument, especially just to see where Jatavian Sanders falls because if it wasn't for Brock Bowers, Jatavian Sanders, I think, would be a 1st-round pick for sure. And he still might be. So that's where I think since he's the number 2 tight end, and some people might not even agree with that, just where our team's going to value him overall. And so in this, I think then in the Commanders' case, they have 2 veteran tight ends that they know that they can rely on. Do you maybe wait till day 3 to take a guy like Cade Stover or the guy from Colorado State?
Theo Johnson, Holker. Dalen Holker was from Colorado State.
Holker, yeah. So it's just going to be interesting to see what kind of other avenues here. So They actually have now 3 third-round picks. Their original pick, traded with the Seattle, then a compensatory pick. So here, this is where we start to address the defensive side of the ball because they've already made a lot of free agency moves over there. So I'm going with Cameron Kitchens here, addressing the safety again. Commanders have one of the worst secondaries in the league. Guy like Cameron Kitchens, luckily for them, he fell a little bit. I think just nothing against Cameron Kitchens. I think it just goes to show how great this class is. So,
Yeah.
Ryan, you're a big Cameron Kitchens fan. What do you like about Commanders taking him here at 67?
Yeah, so he didn't have the greatest combine, and I don't think that really portrays how good of an athlete he actually is. Because I think you go watch on tape, he's very instinctive. He moves across the field really, really well. And he could be a single high safety. So Dan Quinn loves to mix things up on the defensive side of the ball. And I think Cameron Kitchens would be that guy that could come in, be that center fielder. He could be the centerpiece if they go cover 3. He's a very smart player. He can play in an array of different coverages. He comes down against the run really well. He's really just a complete safety. He only falls this far because safeties are being devalued in the NFL right now. There was like 12 free agent safeties that moved teams this year. So they're kind of becoming like a running back of the defense type of position. And then also with that athletic testing, I think teams will probably prefer other height, weight, speed guys at the position there as well. So,
yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, I would say I think Cameron Kitchens could be a late second rounder, but I think getting him here for the Commanders, I think he's a guy that could contend, honestly, for a starting spot. I would say just with how weak the secondary was for the Commanders, and then if I'm not mistaken, too, overall haven't made too many major additions. They
added Jeremy Chin, but very different player. Jeremy Chin is that box safety that's going to be like a sub-package linebacker on.
Well, and it was just 1 year for $4 million.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like it's a sure thing. So moving on now to 78, the Seattle Seahawks former pick. Having gone with Junior Colson here. This is another one. They have addressed a lot of positions on the linebacker as well. Frankie Louvu, Bobby Wagner, just to name a few. But once again, Bobby Wagner is in the last couple of legs of his career. And so now Frankie Louvu, though, coming over from Carolina, I'm fairly certain, yes, is, I'm not mistaken, more of an edge rusher kind of guy, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. And Junior Colson, he's going to be a big kind of thumping linebacker, but he moves really, really, really well for that size. I think him and Jamin Davis would be a good complement. I think he'd probably play that Leighton Vander Esch role in this Dan Quinn defense. And then Jamin Davis would be a little bit more kind of like, I don't say off the line of scrimmage because they both would be off the line of scrimmage, but a little bit more of like a move piece in this defense, and he would be covering a little bit more ground. He's the athlete to do that. So I like Junior Colson here. He does everything well. He doesn't have like a superpower like some other players here, but just a really solid, well-rounded linebacker. And then let's wrap it up here with the 100th pick, the final pick in, I believe, round 3. And that's going to be Chris Abrams-Drain, the cornerback, this other cornerback from Missouri. And a little bit undersized guy. He's going to play in the slot. They did get Emmanuel Forbes last year, and I know he did not have the greatest rookie season, but he's going to come in. He's going to be that starting nickel for that team, which is going to be, I think, pretty crucial in this Dan Quinn defense. A lot of these guys, they do play man coverage, and they mix it up a good bit. And Chris Abrams-Drain is going to be a nice versatile piece. I think that would fit in and get a rotational role in that defense.
I like the player a lot. I'd be curious to kind of see this is the route that they go. Because I know in the third round we would have doubled up on the secondary position as well. So if they want to try and do all 3 levels of the defense, I do like a guy like Mo Kamara. I will say at Colorado State, he just missed out on our top 100 that we did of the Tracy Takes top 100. But I remember that was a tough one to be like. I think he was just like, I think he was 103 or 102 or something like that. He was very close. Yeah, I think he absolutely could go here, especially in 2 with Commanders moving on from a lot of the guys from last year. Devondre Sweat, Chase Young, etc. Maybe start to kind of rebuild some of that edge rusher talent. Even though I know that they've also signed several guys at that position as well, just like Clyde Farrell. So Commanders 6 picks in the first and the top 100 picks. A lot of maneuverability. It's going to be very fascinating to kind of see which route they end up going, how aggressive they want to be since they have all that capital.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's going to be fun to watch. I think they're in a really good spot to go and rebuild this roster. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of this Washington Commanders 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you do differently? And on that, we will see you guys next time.